Currently we are in section 4 and we are about to check out the fifth video of this section. Now so far in this section we have completed our phase 1. That is, we built the UI of our NodeKeeper application and went through few of the foundational concepts which we are going to use in the phase 2 to implement SQLite database in Flutter. So currently our NodeKeeper application appears to be like this. It has two screens. Now it is time to connect our application with the SQLite database. For that we are going to use the SQFlite plugin. If you are a beginner, then you might want to know what is a SQLite database. Well, the SQLite database is an in-process library that implements a self-contained, serverless, zero configuration, and transactional SQL database engine. Quite overwhelming, isn't it? So let us break it down into smaller pieces and check what exactly we mean by self-contained. Well, self-contained means that it requires very less support from external libraries, making it a perfect choice for lightweight, platform-independent application. Then we have the serverless, which means SQLite database reads and writes directly from the database files on the disk. By disk, I means that the file system of your Android and iOS devices. So whatever data you store in the SQLite database is stored locally on the device. So you don't have to set up any client server connection in order to use it. And then we have zero configuration, which means it requires no installation and zero setup. Just add the dependency and start using SQLite in your application. And at last, it is transactional. Well, it is very important because all the changes in a transaction occur completely or not at all. Now, what do I mean by one transaction? Well, whenever you try to save data to your database, then that process of saving data to the database is known as one transaction. Let me give you one more example. If you try to retrieve a data from the database, so in that case, that process of retrieving the data from your database is known as one transaction. Either your transaction completes successfully or it completely fails. It is either white or black, but never gray, making it highly secure and reliable. To conclude, SQLite database is the most trusted and reliable database in mobile development. Now the question arises, how can you use SQLite database in your Flutter application? So for that, in Flutter, we have a plugin known as SQFlite plugin. Well, it is a plugin in Flutter that allows you to access SQLite database in both Android and iOS. So with the single code base, you can use it for both Android and iOS. And yes, of course, in order to use it, you have to include its dependency in the pubspec.yaml file. Now you might ask how SQLite manage connection between your application and the SQLite database. So for that, let me talk about it. Well, this plugin deals with only map objects. So what does it exactly means? Now suppose this is our application and this is our SQLite database. Now using this plugin, I want to save data to my SQLite database. So in that case, you are only allowed to save data to the SQLite database in the form of map objects. That is, this plugin saves only the map objects to your database. So in short, before saving data to the database, you need to convert your object into a map object. And now, how to retrieve data from the SQLite database in your application? So for that again, this plugin retrieves only the map objects from your SQLite database, which again means when you retrieve data from database, you get a map object, and then you need to convert that map object into a simple object before using it in your application. To conclude, always remember SQFlite plugin deals with only map objects. So what should be our project requirement to implement SQLite database? Firstly, you need a model class. Then you will need database helper class that will help us to perform the CRUD operation, that is insert, query, update and delete operation. And finally, you have to connect all of these with our application user interface so that using our UI, we can interact with our database using SQFlite plugin. So in the next video, let us start creating our model class.